concerning George Whitefield and his preaching. Some would get the impression that he was just a mob orator who appealed to drunken miners, but this was far from being the case. He was equally popular with the gentry and the great in the land. Take, for instance, the well-known actor David Garrick. Garrick said he could melt an audience from euphoric joy to tears merely by saying and pronouncing the word Mesopotamia in different ways. Garrick also said that he would willingly part with 100 guineas if he could only say the word "oh" with the same pathos and effect as Whitefield. The great Lord Chesterfield frequently listened to the preaching in the home of the Countess of Huntingdon, and the story goes that on one occasion Whitefield was using a great illustration to warn sinners of their peril in time and in eternity. And it was a story of a blind beggar with a dog walking near the edge of a cliff leading to a great precipice. And Whitefield was describing this man and how suddenly the dog left him, and there was the poor man stumbling along and not knowing where he was going and drawing nearer and nearer and nearer to the edge of the precipice and in danger of falling to destruction at any moment. And he kept this up for such a length of time and increased the tension to such an extent that Chesterfield was completely carried away and, falling on his face to the floor, cried out saying, "Good God, he's gone!" Such was the moving eloquence of this man.
And 5-2, the door was shut. And I surrendered my mobile phone. We all had to give our mobile phones. They didn't want any outsiders, hello, whatever, coming along. And I went in there, and by the time I got in, everyone was letting it rip. And I looked out the window, and you can remember the scenes. There was this incredible fireworks display. There was the London Eye going around. It was beautiful, it was stunning. Random people, some quite well known, started sort of slobbering all over me in their drunken state. It was wild, it was a great party, it was a celebration of a life with all these beautiful people. And I got caught up in it for a few minutes, and then I looked down, and I could see in the road, 2 stories below me, I could see Rebecca pleading with the 2 burly bouncers on the door, pleading. And then they were saying no, they're being polite, they're being firm. And then she started getting angry, and she was clawing past them, and they started being much more firm. And then eventually, she wouldn't take no for an answer. They pushed her on the floor. And she fell back there, tears streaming from her face, mascara all over the place. A picture of rage, anger, brokenness, disappointment, crushing agony.
It's all about celebration. I mean, there's the Good Samaritan. And there's not better than that, the prodigal son. There's the guy. Takes half of his father's money, goes off to some wicked city like Chicago and wastes his money in riotous living. And when it's all gone, he ends up feeding pigs. And he says to himself, what am I doing here? There are people in my father's farm back in Pennsylvania. They have good jobs. They get decent pay. I'm going to go home to my father. Now, after you blow half of your father's money, you'd better rehearse your speech. All the way home, he's practicing. Father, I have sinned against heaven and against thee. I am no longer worthy to be called thy son. Make me one of your hired servants. Over and over, he's practicing it. The Bible says that the father sees him when he's a long way off, goes out, runs his arms around him. The kid starts to speak. Father, I have sinned against heaven and against thee. Father's not living. Harry, get some robes. This kid's in rags. I am no longer worthy to be called thy son. Get a ring, put it on his finger. Make me one. Shut up, kid. Out behind the barn. Hey, John. There's a fat calf. Kill that sucker. We're going to have a...
Fell to the ground, and he heard a voice say to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? At which point, if Saul hadn't been knocked to the ground and blinded, we find out later, if he could just pause, the recording for just a minute and come to his senses, he may have responded this way. What do you mean persecute me? I'm not persecuting a me. I'm persecuting an it. I'm persecuting an ideology. I'm persecuting a false theology. I'm persecuting a cult. I'm persecuting a bunch of renegade Jewish people that are ruining it for the rest of us. I'm not persecuting a me. This is about an it. This struggle within Jerusalem, this struggle within Judaism, it's not about a person. It's about an ideology. It's about a theology. It's about a movement. But what he heard was this: Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?
Let's imagine this situation. So I am feeling generous. I give you a chicken. Nick, I'll give you 2 chickens. I'll give you 2 chickens. Okay. So it's not a problem. They might wake you up in the morning, but I'm giving you 2 chickens. And so you've got 2 chickens. After a while, they start to lay eggs. So we're getting some eggs. And you bring 2 eggs to me and you say, James, why don't you make me a cake? And so you bring your 2 eggs along, and I provide the rest of the ingredients. I measure them out. I mix the whole thing up. I get the whole thing, get me Kenwood mixer, and get the whole thing going. I spoon it into my cake tin, and then it goes. And then I put it in my oven with my electricity. Close that up there. I wait while it ping, out it comes. I get it out. I put it, because it's unique, I put a lovely bit of icing on the top, and then I give you the cake, and you say, you don't say,